So this is from Aviation Week's website in their Defense Aircraft and Propulsion section from July 14th. Steve Trimble wrote, Indian Navy decision further seals fate of Super Hornet. I'm going to read until you guys tell me to stop. The announced selection by the Indian Navy of a French fighter is another blow to the future of Boeing's FA-18EF Super Hornet assembly line in St. Louis. Boeing had already announced plans to wind down FA-18EF production in Missouri by 2025, but held out hope that potential orders in India could extend U.S. assembly operations by a year and keep the fighter in production on a new assembly line on the subcontinent. So they were going to sub out to India. India's Navy announced the selection on July 14th of the Dassault Rafale M to become its next carrier-based fighter. So we'll likely cease production around 2025, said Bern Peters, Boeing's Vice President of Business Development for Air Dominance Programs. Indian Air Force still has a requirement to buy 114 new fighters under the Medium-Range Fighter Aircraft program, but delays in the selection progress could mean the Super Hornet is no longer available. Boeing is not yet commenting. Want to keep going?
No, that's good.
I got what you need?
You got what we needed.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks for reading that, because I can't. The font's too small. My eyes are too bad. So 2025 winded down the Super Hornets. So selling fighters is a big business. So I know I've talked a lot about doing the Royal Malaysian Air Force thing. But really what that was the FMS deal, right? Foreign military sales. So I kind of got to witness Boeing marketing and trying to sell the Super Hornet. And it's not just for money. It's also, I think, like sales of like the F-16, the F-15 to other countries, keeping the production line open. So the way it is now, 2025, the production line is going to close in 2025. So in order to keep it going beyond that, they need to sell airplanes because it's a business. So, by not getting any customers, it hurts the U.S. forces as well, because when the production line stops, if they ever need specific support from Boeing, it's not going to be there, because Boeing's in the business of making money, and they're just not going to keep expertise and parts lines open for no reason. So the Indians chose the French fighter. And what was weird was when I was in Malaysia, I actually got to meet with the Rafale rep, the guy trying to sell the fighters to the government. And he was very French. And it was pretty amazing. Doug touched on it a little bit, but a lot of these countries like India, Malaysia, they not only just want to buy like a Western fighter, but they want the technology. So like a lot of these deals are like, hey, we'll buy your fighter, but we want to be able to build parts of it in our country to enhance our aerospace technologies. And basically what they're looking for is some independence, right? Because if they go fight somebody and for whatever reason we cut them off, they want to be able to support their own airplanes. So I know with the French, they were a lot more open to that idea than Boeing was. You can argue all day on which airplane's better. The Rafale is a very good airplane. It's on the Charles de Gaulle, and we actually got to fly with those guys off the Charles de Gaulle when I was on the Stennis. And I think I had one sortie where we did like 4v4 BVR against them. Nice. Now, we truth be told, we weren't out, level 11 on them, but BVR struck me as flying a lot against like another Hornet. And our training got to go out and dogfight one of them, and I asked him how'd it go, and he said it's very similar to fighting a Hornet. So if you look at the specs, like the thrust, the weight, it's all very similar. Granted, it's a delta wing, but it's very similar performance to the Hornet. I personally think Super Hornet's a better airplane. But
so you and I did a breakdown of a Rafale versus a Raptor. Don't get me demonetized again saying any jokes about any fighter aces from the United States.
That's correct. I will not.
But as you can, by what you just said, that goes back to why it's so ridiculous, because a Raptor, they're not bringing the A game for that. That's interesting.
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, like, it kind of, if you look at, the Indians picked the Rafale based on the fact I think they were going to get the most technology sharing. And then also, I'm not sure if it mentioned it in that article or not. I cut Doug off, but in addition to buying just a fighter, you're buying a maintenance plan, a training plan, and I'm not talking just for pilots. It's to maintain the engines, maintain the airframe. I mean, it's a multi-year billions of dollar kind of thing.
No, it's infrastructure. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of
totally.
it is U.S. aid. So they use the U.S. aid packages to support, the $1 billion,
Right.
multi-billion-dollar contract to support it. Did
Right.
you see, Mr. Producer might be able to find this. No pressure, Doug. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Do you remember back, because I think this was even in the article before we cut Doug off. So Canada cut the Super Hornet. They were going to get the Super Hornet, and then they're like, nope, we want Fat Amy. And
big mistake.
Part of it was because of the Airbus A220, that whole thing with that jet, well, the Bombardier or whatever that it was before the A220, and how Boeing kind of made them mad with some of the stuff they were doing on the airline side. So it wasn't even related to the fighter side. It was what they were doing on the airline side that then became something. But if you recall, and I don't know who made this, it was probably Boeing, but it was this awesome Twitter video, a social media video, these two kids playing.
I saw
You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It was the kids playing. Oh God, Doug, what are we doing? Oh, there it is. Look at this. He's got it. But Boeing suffered near misses on potential contracts, selected the F-18 as an interim solution in 2016, but a Boeing initiated trade dispute against Bombardier in 2017 prompted, and that's the A220. But the script of this little video with these kids playing, and they were talking about, what do you have? He's like, I've got the super brand new F-35.
Stealth.
Well, how many do you have? Yeah, it's invisible. He's like, well, how many do you have? Just the one. And he's like, well, what do you have? He's like, I got a fleet of F-18s and support and 10-year warranty and stuff. And that goes to what you're saying.
Hey, Billy, what did you buy with the $10 Grandpa gave you? This beauty. The new F-35 strike fighter with the super helmet and electronic computer? And it's invisible. But it's right there. What did you buy with Grandpa's $10? 3 Boeing F-18 Super Hornets with all the latest avionics and 10 years of full Boeing service support. Yeah, but your planes aren't invisible. Okay. Want to have a battle for the skies? No. It broke.
Where, you're buying the maintenance packages, the missiles, and I love that you talked about them bringing their own, hardware to it, because I just did a video with the Greek, the Hellenic Air Force, and it's a different IR missile. They're not using AIM-9X. They've got their own that they've created. Same thing with the Israelis. They have adapted their own tech, sometimes even better, to existing platforms, and that's kept the Viper alive too.
Well, the Rafale itself is actually France saying, "Hey, Typhoon, you're taking too long. I don't like where this is going." So the Rafale was a almost purely French jet for that very reason. They wanted to maintain, their ability to create a frontline 4th-gen fighter and support it. But the Indians, like I can totally see why they did what they did, mainly because their Air Force also flies the Rafale. So there's some commonality in there. And India is a big country, but compared to the US, a smaller military like the Indian Indian Air Force and Navy, there's that commonality is going to save them a lot of money. But being American, I think the Super Hornet would have been a better airplane, but it is what it is. And I just hope somebody does. I hope somebody does buy it, Mover, and keeps the.
Well, that's another article in itself. Kuwait, they just, no kidding, a month ago, they released the funds. That had been delayed because of COVID. They got the contract in 2018. They built them in 2020, 2021, and then the jets sat because they couldn't deliver them. So now that process is, it's being uncorked.
Yeah.
But like you said, nobody else to buy them. The assembly line shuts down. And I wonder if they're going to pivot to the EX, because that is what's keeping, the F-15 assembly line open is the EX. And there are countries that want to buy that too.
Yeah. when I looked at the specs that the Royal Malaysian Air Force was looking for their MiG-29 replacement, and it just screamed basically Strike Eagle. But I told them that. I said, hey, these requirements more match the Strike Eagle. And they said the Strike Eagle is too expensive. So,
well, it does come down to money.
It does come down to money. And right, the Hornet and the F-16 were kind of the lower budget 4th gen options. So, but yeah, so hey, I think Indian Navy's getting a good jet. I've flown in and around Rafales, and they're a pretty awesome airplane, but pro America.
Well,
America.
Yeah, America. We got to support our Vipers and Hornets. And
that's right.
Even Fat Amy, as you will. I mean, it's a good. We make fun of the Fat Amy, but it is a good airplane.
Yeah.
I mean, it does have a lot of cool tech. It's not your and that's why we call it Fat Amy, because it's not your stereotypical sleek, sexy fighter. It's just this like do everything technological marvel that's going to do a whole lot of cool stuff, but not look the coolest doing it.
It's beauty as defined in 2023, Mover.
It's beauty on the inside is what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not.
He's a hell of a cook.